just a little time left now for producer Benedict Rhodes to join us. Benny, great to see you as usual. Time for some stoppage time before we leave this one.
Yeah, you guys have been obviously talking a lot about Forge today and how they won the CPL Shield. So the question now turns, I guess, to can they do the double and be the first team to win both in the same season? They're already the first to win both trophies on their own. But which team do you think maybe poses the biggest threat at stopping Forge from winning the double?
Charlie?
I mean, the obvious answer is probably still Cavalry, even though it does feel like they struggle against Forge in the playoffs. They certainly did at times last year. I mean, they took an extra time, but still, I know we've just spoken quite harshly about Atletico Ottawa, but they, I think, of the other 3 top 4 have been the best against Forge this year. They've beaten them twice, so I do think that if they are a team that can kind of come together and figure themselves out and certainly finish in that top 3 or even second, I do think that it would not be a pushover against Forge. So maybe that's my answer, just based on which team I feel like has, I can see beating Forge, because Cavalry are very good at the moment, but have had so much trouble against Forge in the playoffs.
Yeah, and on that trouble, I think it is Cavalry, but are they going to beat them twice?
Right.
I think that's the question, and all great organizations have to analyze their talent better than anybody else, right? When they look deep in the mirror, will they back themselves to know that they can beat them twice, right? Mm-hmm. And look, they may not need to, but the likelihood is that they will. So it becomes a mindset and a game. Like if you're Cavalry and you're second and you want to really host that final, you're probably going to give everything in that qualifying semifinal. But what if you don't want to show everything? And what if you go to Hamilton and you go, okay, would you rather win the qualifying semifinal than the final? Of course you wouldn't. So it becomes a mind game about how you manage things as well. And I think that's something that Tommy Wheeldon Jr. and his staff have been very organized and will have to think about, because right now they've got to figure out how to do something they've yet to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Friend of the show, Mitchell Tierney, sent me a text last night saying that Shola Jimoh is the best young player the CPL has ever had. Don't want to put too much pressure on the young kid. He's obviously 16 years old and a few huge goals for York this season. But is it a hot take from Mr. Tierney, or is that something you maybe agree with?
Well, I've heard that Mr. Tierney knows now what it's like to have kids. So let's talk about the kids. He will be welcoming back from paternal leave soon as well. So we've missed him. Listen, I think I would say that Mitchell knows a lot about the game in this country, Charlie. It's hard to argue, no? This kid is 16. He's in grade 11. We had a feature on him on the OneSoccer pregame show. He's a bright kid. He's fun. But I love how much his teammates love him, too. So look, he looks really special talent. We had TJ Tahid. We've had a number of them. This is what the CPL is all about, Charlie. But it's hard to argue with Mitchell's case.
Yeah, it is. It is. We've had so many great young players come through this league. But I think if you look at Shola Jimoh and his skill set and what specifically is making him effective at the age of 16, I mean, he's tiny. He's playing against, he's playing this game against an Atletico Ottawa team whose defenders are not small. They've got Amir Didic in the middle. And Shola Jimoh is being effective. And I think that's, when you see a young player that does very well, it's always a little bit more impressive when they're doing so with vision and talent on the ball. And it's not just kind of they hit a growth spurt early and they're the best player at U16s. The tallest kid at the U16 game gets put up top and he scores all the goals. This is not the case here. Whenever we ask Benjamin Mora about Shola, he kind of tempers expectations. He's like, he's very young. He's very raw. He has a lot of things to work on. But you can kind of see behind that message how proud he is of that player and how much they do love him. So definitely a player who's very, very exciting to have in the Canadian Premier League, and hopefully, I mean, I guess I don't want to say hopefully for much longer, because hopefully for a little bit longer we get to enjoy him. Then hopefully he does eventually get that move to a much higher level, because I do feel like he can get there again. He's got so much runway at just 16.
Yeah. What do you think, Benny?
Yeah, I think I agree. I think he's probably up there. But I also give a quick shout out to Grady McDonald over in Vancouver. I don't think he's going to be in this league for much longer either. And he's someone that Jesse Marsh has spoken about as someone he wants to try and recruit for the Canadian program as opposed to the Ireland program. Sorry, Charlie.
Ireland needs him more, man.
I don't know. I look pretty good alongside, Stachio and Kone in that Canada midfield. But No, I think he's obviously a very talented player. He won't be in this league for much longer either, and he's definitely a contender for. He's only 16 as well, right? So
Yeah.
He's obviously a very exciting young talent.
There you go. Any more questions, Benny?
Yeah, we'll end off with one more sort of broader Canadian soccer one. We have in Toronto this past weekend, Lionel Messi, of course, got his game in Toronto, and I was wondering who you guys think is the best player you've ever seen watch play live.
Oh, has
Chris
to be
can have
Messi.
way better answers than me.
Has to be Messi for me, I think. Messi, I've seen live a few times. World Cups, 2006, obviously the last World Cup, Copa America. So probably Messi. Charlie?
I have not seen Messi. I've got, in terms of players who were the best at their peak and weren't at the time, maybe Andrea Pirlo.
Yeah.
He's at New York, but I saw Mo Salah play with Liverpool about a year ago.
Nice.
And one who maybe isn't as highly thought of among the greatest players, but was incredible in this friendly. I watched him and was at the height of his powers at the time, was Dimitar Berbatov, who I saw rip Celtic to shreds when he was at Man United and they played a friendly in Toronto.
There you go.
About 11 years ago. So I think that might be my most interesting of the answers.
What about you, Benny?
He wasn't as most effective when I saw him, but maybe Wayne Rooney when he was in Toronto with DC United. He's still pretty good at DC, but wasn't, the Manchester United Wayne Rooney, of course. But
there you go.
He was excellent. And maybe follow up, who have you not seen that you want to see?
Sorry, Charlie, you going to say something?
I forgot that I was actually going to do a bit at the start and say that the greatest player I've ever seen live is John Duran.
Yes, that's right.
But to answer your second question, Benny, who I haven't seen, I mean, Leo Messi obviously is a player that I would love to see live, or Paul McGrath.
There you go. I did see Paul McGrath play. The one I would love to have seen play live that I never got a chance is the Brazilian Ronaldo.
Mm-hmm.
That's the player that I would love to have seen live play in his pomp, because one of the greatest players ever, no doubt about it, and what a finisher. What about you, Benny? One player, past or present, you'd love to see?
Past, unfortunately, David Beckham. I mean, he's one of my favorite players ever, and such an entertainer when he's at his very best, and would love to see him play live.
There you go.
I really thought you were going to say like Andre Arshavin or something like that.
Well, yeah, he's the second answer on that list for sure.
Well, there you go. It's greatness, no doubt. We love that. If anybody got any thoughts, let us know in the comments who you'd like to see live or who you have seen live as your greatest player ever.